Can you briefly introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Howard, and I am a video producer slash filmmaker, or as I like to call a visual storyteller.
Um, so what drew you into this field in particular? Or, how did you find yourself here?
As far as how I got into this field, I mean, it's kind of a crazy story. I started, I guess my passion for it started when I was in high school. Just doing videos, for school projects and things, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But I think, as I got older, the more I kind of just played with like video stuff on my own. I think I really came to love the storytelling aspect of it. I just love to tell stories. I love, seeing the impact that stories can have on other people. And I think that's, what I really love most about it.
I see. So how would you recommend someone to enter this career? Are there any, courses, internships, skills, or maybe like a mindset in particular that you're looking for?
As far as how somebody can get into this field, I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I wouldn't say there's only like one like concrete way like everybody has to like go through. And I think part of that is because there's so many different aspects of this field, right? Whether you're really into being on camera, whether you're just really into like editing, the writing side of things, right? There's just so many aspects. But like my advice, if you're trying to get into the field, definitely, you gotta like network. You want to talk to people who are in the field who have already kind of gone through this journey. They're going to be able to give you the best advice. For me, I look at it from like an artist standpoint too. It's a craft. So you also need to be proactive in just constantly making stuff. That's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to build a portfolio. If you're trying to like do your own thing, which is what I do, I run my own little small production company. If you're trying to do your own thing, like you absolutely need to build that portfolio because people want to see what you can do. If you're trying to get into bigger like production studios, like if you want to do Hollywood and stuff, you definitely will need to get connected. Definitely find like internships. You know, work with people who are already in the field.
You mentioned earlier about a portfolio. Can you elaborate a little bit on it? The process of making this portfolio, maybe, some things that people may be looking for in a portfolio?
Sure. So yeah, portfolio. If you don't know what a portfolio is, it's basically like kind of like a collection of your work, your best work, so that nothing's gonna sell your work. At least my philosophy, nothing's gonna sell your work better. Sorry, let me say that again. Nothing's gonna sell your work better than your own work itself. Because people want to see, like, actually see what it is you can do and what you can produce. So as far as building one, um, you obviously need to make stuff. You can't put anything in your portfolio if you don't have anything. That's why it's important to always be practicing, be making stuff, whether it's just stuff you want to do for fun, whether it's stuff you're doing as like volunteer work for other things, right? Volunteering is really a great way to build your portfolio. That's how I kind of got started just by doing a lot of volunteer work because it gave me opportunities just to make stuff. So, from there over time, as you keep making things, you'll eventually have a collection. And then at that point, you need to make the decision, what's going to reflect your best work. But you also want to pick out the work that's going to kind of attract the people you want to work with.
Hmm. So, what would a typical work day or work week look like? I understand that, filmmaking, there's a lot of, long projects, a lot of development. So, maybe like a work month even? Like, what would the
Yeah,
process be like?
I mean, the process can be kind of crazy. Because in this field it's a lot of creative work. It's not your typical 9 to 5, right? It's not so simply that you can just come in one day. You tell yourself, I'm going to get all this stuff done, and then you just clock out. Just because sometimes you might have creative blocks. It just takes you a while to really like get those gears turning in terms of ideas. And then once you kind of get those ideas going, like you sometimes just don't want to stop. So as far as what a day might look like or what like a month looks like, it really comes down to the kind of projects I have. So one sometimes like a day can be purely just me, having meetings with people, talking about ideas, trying to like schedule things, those kind of logistics. Sometimes a day is just a full day of shooting where you get up in the morning, show up, and you just shoot the entire day. And that can be just one day on its own. And then obviously there's editing sometimes. There can be stretches of days where all you do is, you wake up, you edit all day, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you do it all over again. Editing can pretty much take up your life sometimes. Um, so yeah, there isn't really like a day where it's always going to be the same. Um, Kind of just depends what pops up, but that's generally how it is, when you do creative work.
Hmm. So would you say it's a little more like, on and off rather than constant?
Yeah, I could say it's on and off again. It's kind of just it depends what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to follow a path like myself where you're doing your own stuff and you're kind of like starting your own little like production company and things. Um, yeah, you might go through stretches where like you just don't have any projects and you're kind of like, okay, I don't really have anything to do, which can be kind of scary if you're thinking about like income and all that. Um, but yeah, like you might have those stretches where you just don't have anything, and then all of a sudden you just have a bunch of things that just hits you at once. So you kind of, you just gonna have to like roll with that.
Hmm. So I recognize that, promotion and seniority definitely works a little bit different here than, the typical job. But, what would it generally look like? Like a general idea of it.
Mm, elaborate on that a little bit if you can.
So I recognize that, there's multiple, levels for, management in production. In the Hollywood studio, there's like, directors and then there's co-directors and, all the way down the line, you know, how would, promotion or seniority work?
Um, I guess if you're talking in terms of like those all those different roles in terms of ranks and things,
Hmm.
again, it kind of just depends on your own personal interests and like what role you want within a crew.
Yeah.
Not everybody's like interested or wants to direct because it's not easy. So you might not go through that path, and sometimes people are just completely happy just being behind the camera. So at that point, like if you're just really about being on camera, like there's only so far you're gonna go being a camera person. Um, Although, depending how big the crew is, that's also another factor, right? So sometimes if you do have like a really big crew, like if you work with cameras for so long, you may end up being kind of like a director as far as directing that camera team. You may not be directing like the talent or the overall vision, but you'll still be kind of directing in that way. So that's kind of a way how you can kind of like move up on those ranks. It comes with your experience.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it really comes down to your experience, what your interests are, how hard you want to work, obviously.
Just changing up the pace a little bit. What would be your, favorite part of the job? Most enjoyable?
One of the things I love the most about like video production is the fact that it's it's collaborative. You have to work in a team, at least if you're trying to do anything beyond just like a vlog, right? If you ever try to make like a full-on video by yourself, like it's pretty much impossible. So that's one of the things I love most. It's just the fact that it's collaborative. You're working with like so many different people. You get to meet a lot of different people and learn a lot of different things. And so that's definitely like my favorite part about it.
Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of it, what would be your least favorite part of the job?
Least favorite part. I don't know. That's kind of a hard question. I'd say it's kind of a toss up between like there's definitely stretches when I'm editing that can get pretty miserable,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially sometimes if you're kind of working on projects that you're not personally like as passionate about. Yeah, it can get kind of like excruciating to have to like watch these things over and over again and go through that editing process. So yeah, there's definitely times where the editing is not fun, but otherwise, a close equal to that sometimes is because I'm kind of an introvert, so like I do get tired sometimes having to like deal with a lot of people. So it is kind of like the aspect of you know how do I put this? I would say it's the aspect when you kind of are getting stretched really thin, working with a bunch of different clients at one time. I think those are times where I can get kind of overwhelmed when you kind of just have too many things going on at once.
Mm-hmm. So that concludes the main portion of the interview. Do you have like, any extra comments in general, about anything? It doesn't have to just be about, the job. Anything that you think, the high schoolers need to know?
Um, I mean, I would say if I could offer just like piece of advice, I mean, I say for this field especially, but you can apply it to like pretty much anything you do. Like you really got to make sure you want it. Um, how badly you want something is going to really like be what dictates how hard you're willing to work. Um, people are gonna notice it. Like when you come into a role, you come into a job, people will definitely notice your effort. Whether Yeah, I would say the effort is what's going to make the difference. Whether or not like you're good or not, um, they're going to notice your effort. How hard you work, how hard you're willing to learn, how open-minded you are. Those are all going to work in your favor if you really really kind of want something badly enough. And I think if I could go back in time and kind of share like the biggest takeaways that I've kind of learned over the years to myself in the past. Learn to work well with people. um, you can be the best at whatever it is you do in terms of skill, in terms of like quality. But if you're hard to work with, like you're not going to get very far, like guaranteed. Um, so always just make it a point to like be willing to work with people, be open minded, work hard, be willing to learn. That's all. That's what I want to leave with you guys.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to take this interview. Um, I'm sure that this will be a great help to, a lot of my peers. And if anybody has any questions, do you have like a contact for anybody, for other people?
Yeah, if you ever want to check out my work and reach out to me if you ever have like questions. My website is www.breakingsky.com. My email is just info@breakingsky.com. I'm always willing to answer questions, to this day, because I do work with young people. So there's definitely that aspect where I'm always willing to like mentor, right? So definitely reach out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Howard. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.